Hello booktube, it's me Marilyn. Welcome back to my channel. Well, this week has been a lot. If you've been following the news of Hawaii, you know that we had a tsunami warning, which is the highest level of warning. That we had a tsunami watch, and then there's a warning, and a warning means that a tsunami is probably going to happen, because there was a big, huge earthquake in Russia, and Hawaii, even though the whole West Coast and other places were affected, Hawaii is dab smack in the middle where the tsunami was going, they thought was going to hit. And we did get some tsunami waves. However, I picked that day of all days, because I haven't been to the beach in months, to go to the beach. So I was right in the evacuation zone. And first of all, I had a wonderful time, about 1 hour in the 85-degree water, which was beautiful. And the beach that I was at was very beautiful as well. I was having a good time. And the lifeguard came on the bullhorn and told us to get out of the water, that we were going to be evacuated. And while waiting for the evacuation, actually the evacuation was my daughter, because everyone had to come home from work, and the traffic was really unbelievable. So I waited quite a while for my daughter to pick me up and take me home. We were lucky that we were allowed to go home, because it was only 3. The people that, like my partner, who were all the way in Honolulu, he didn't get home until 12 midnight. And I think, even though we didn't suffer much damage, thankfully, we had some waves. I think the Big Island, Hawaii, had the most damage. But still, we have to do something about the traffic. The traffic was horrendous. They had really no plan, and that's another story. But I really wasn't that panicky about the whole thing. But it must have been a little bit on my mind, because the next day I had to go to physical therapy for an evaluation, because I hadn't been to my PT appointments since my vacation. So being a competitive person, I decided to impress my physical therapist how strong I had gotten since my recent illness, and also that I had been doing my exercises. So I put in the effort to do that. And after that, which was probably a good thing and a bad thing, the library is across the street from my physical therapist's office. So I said, I really need to go to the library and browse. I want to so much. So I walked. I had a backpack with me, and I walked, and I saw new releases. Now, if anybody watches my channel, they know I don't really show many new releases. And it was a time that I was going to be picked up, so I thought, that's fine. I can carry some big books, and I put them in my backpack. And then I realized I had to walk a couple of blocks. I walked a block to the library from my physical therapist, and then I had to walk a few blocks to the pickup zone to get picked up. Anyway, it was a brick. It was a lot. And I carried maybe 50 pounds on my back. And as you can probably assume, when I came home, I was really exhausted, and should not have done that, but glad I did, because today I have some books to show you. And it's my August, it's a library haul. So even though there's not that many books, they're big ones, and they're new releases, and I really am excited to show them to you. So let's get started. The first book is a book that I have heard of, and this was just released in March of 2025. So I was excited to pick it up, even though, well, let me tell you what it is first. It's called The House of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest for Freedom by Shari Franke. Now, I'm not that familiar with the YouTube channel that the Frankes had. which was called, I think it's 8 Passengers. Let me just check. It is, 8 Passenger Family Vlog, which was a YouTube channel. And Shari Franke is the daughter of Ruby Franke. And let me just tell you what it's about. If you don't know the YouTube channel, it showed the family of 8, their day-to-day living, supposedly. And it went really bad. Now, I never watched the YouTube channel, but of course, with the subsequent trial that went on, you couldn't really get away from it. So let me just tell you, it's from eldest child, Shari Franke. And I don't think she was living in the house when the bad stuff, the real bad stuff happened. And the shocking true story behind the viral 8 Passenger Family Vlog and the hidden abuse she suffered at the hands of her mother, and how in the face of unimaginable pain, she found freedom and healing, which I'm very happy for her, and I hope the rest of the children have similar healing. So this is a memoir, as you can probably tell. So I'll just read you a little bit of it, of the blurb. It says, her childhood was a constant battle for survival. Her mother, Ruby Franke, enforced a severe moral code while maintaining the facade of a picture-perfect family for their widely popular YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, which documented the day-to-day life of raising 6 children for a staggering 2.5 million subscribers. But a darker truth lurked behind the surface, as we know now. Ruby's wholesome online persona masked a more tyrannical parenting style than anyone could imagine. And now I think this happened, if I'm not positive, in Oregon, and I think that they were Mormons. But what's interesting about this book, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it, what it says about it, because I knew that the daughter was about to write a book. I followed the trial a little bit. Is horrendous what she did to her children with another co-defendant. But I think that the most interesting part of this book is having a YouTube channel when you have children, and how, from what I remember, it was all of these YouTube subscribers that noticed that something was amiss in this house. So let me see what else it says it's Utah. Yeah, I was right, it was Utah. So fueled by the sadistic influence of a relationship that Ruby had with relationship coach Jody Hildebrand, together they implemented an inhumane and merciless disciplinary regime. And they were arrested in 2023 on multiple charges of aggravated child abuse. So, and I'm trying to think of how she fits in to write her memoir. It says, no stone is left unturned as Shari exposes the perils of influencer culture and shares for the first time her battle for truth and survival in the face of her mother's cruelty. So, the back says what I wanted to know about it, and it says that I actually don't remember the exact moment when the cameras first started rolling. All I know is that one day we were just a regular family going about our lives. The next there was a janky camera constantly pointed in our direction, documenting our every move for the consumption of strangers on the internet. So she was in it from the beginning. So I'm glad to know that she's not just looking from the outside in. I think she left at a certain point when the abuse got really terrible. And in case you don't know what happened, I'm not going to go into the trial and all of that, but I feel that this has a very big lesson in it about, what we're watching on YouTube, and how something that might be thought of as entertainment might get dangerous, or did get dangerous. Anyway, I'm looking forward to reading this memoir, and I have talked about it a lot. Now, the second new release that I found and was very happy to find, because I read her prior book, The Five. It's from Hallie Rubenhold, and it's the story of a murder: the wives, the mistress, and Dr. Crippen. So this is a true crime story, as was The Five, which looked at the 5 women who were the victims of Jack the Ripper. So this, I think, is around 1910. And let me just tell you, I don't know too much about this book. I heard about it, and it is a 2025 new release. So yay! I'm really glad I'm finally in the beginning of reading a new release. And you know, I hate when it's blue. My eyesight is not that good, but at least the lettering is good. And it says it's an epic examination of one of the most infamous murders of the 20th century. Best-selling author of The Five, Hallie Rubenhold, gives voice to those who were never properly heard. The women! Yay! I didn't know how she was going to handle this, and I'm glad that she has focused on the women again and not just Crippen. Now, I don't know too much about the Crippen story, and to be honest, until I was on BookTube is when I heard about his deeds. And it says, on February 1st, 1910, the vivacious, diamond-adorned music hall performer Belle Elmore suddenly vanished from her home, causing alarm among her friends, the entertainers of the Music Hall Ladies Guild. Their demands for an investigation would lead to the unearthing of a gruesome secret and trigger a fevered international manhunt for Belle's husband, medical fraudster Dr. Hawley Harvey Crippen. And then I think they're going to talk about his wife, Ethel Leigh Neve, his Crippen's typist and lover, who fled with Crippen in disguise, has always hidden in the shadows of this tale. Was she really just an innocent young girl? Etc., etc. I thought he had a wife too. It says, well, the wives. He had a lot of wives. See, I don't know too much about the Dr. Crippen story, but I know that it's a famous story in the UK, and it has a lot of praise. And on the back, I'll just say that painstaking research, married to a novelist's instinct for storytelling, makes each new book by Hallie Rubenhold a gripping and educational adventure. And I'm here for this. So I'm definitely, and you know, if you know me, you know I shouldn't say I don't like, but I'm scared of big books. And this one is, well, it's not that big actually. It's a little over 400 pages. So I'm definitely going to get into this, and I just want to see when this is due. It's due a few days before my birthday, so the 21st. So I think it's doable. I think it's doable. So let's get on to the next book that I got on my very heavy book haul. And this one is very personal to me. And I feel, despite the trouble I went to get to the library, I think this might be the most personally satisfying and educational books of the lot for me personally. And I'm just very lucky. This was written in 2024, and it's called Anxiety RX, a revolutionary new prescription for anxiety relief by the doctor who created it. And it has an anxiety toolkit, and it's by Dr. Russell Kennedy, MD. Let me just show you the book. And what I read about it so far, it seems to me that something other than myself was pushing me toward that library that day. So it says that, and it says it's a second edition and it's fully revised. But one thing that brought my attention to it, it says that after years of trying multiple therapies for his debilitating anxiety without success, Dr. Russell Kennedy had an epiphany. Anxiety does not start in the brain, it starts in the body, where physical and emotional trauma and perception live. Alarm bells originating in the body trigger anxious thoughts that we call anxiety. But these thoughts are only a reflection of the mind's attempt to explain the feeling. True healing starts only when we learn that anxious thoughts are the symptom, not the cause. Now, I've been looking for a cure. There's no cure, but a cure for my anxiety for my whole life. And in August, I turned 75. So if I don't find it soon, you know. And the funny part, I was talking about the tsunami. That big things like that don't usually trigger my panic attacks, but little things that like add up, that's what really causes my anxiety and my panic. And the night that I came home from the beach, and the physical therapist and everything that happened, I had an anxiety attack that night. I'm not going to go into what the trigger was, but there was a trigger. It was a health trigger, and most of my anxiety has to do with health. So I am really, really going to get into this book. I've read many books about anxiety. The latest book, I won't even tell you how much disappointment I had reading it. It was just a person who was just trying to, an author who was just trying to lead you on until he was going to tell you in the last chapter what the cure was, and it was a big nothing burger. I'm not going to even tell you the name of the book. I might have mentioned it in a other video. But this one from a real doctor, and it says, full of truth and humor, Anxiety RX takes the reader on a healing journey with a deep dive into Dr. Kennedy's own personal recovery from decades of chronic anxiety. So now let me just say that I don't know if he had panic attacks. Anxiety attacks and panic attacks are two different things. People don't realize that. You can actually have an anxiety attack, which is more of worry and anxiety, and that continues for a long period of time. And a panic attack is something that starts suddenly and very, very big. It's a big thing. It's like an emergency, and you want to call the 911 because you think you're dying, and that's a panic attack. And I want to see if he has a prescription for that, because I don't wish panic attacks on my worst enemy, and I'm not even joking. That's how bad it is. And I suffered with panic attacks since I was a small child, and though it's not deadly in the sense of causing immediate death, it does affect the health in many ways, mental and physical. And I think I've talked about this book enough, but I am going to read this starting tonight. So if you suffer from anxiety, and I know so many people on and off booktube like me do, let me know if you've read this book, because it is a revision. Has this helped you? Let me know in the comments. So that is my third book. So believe it or not, I carried a fourth book in that in that backpack I had. And I have to admit, this book I took out of the library before and had to put it away because I wasn't in a good frame of mind. And believe me, it's not that that this might cause anxiety, because this is my favorite playwright of all time. And it's Neil Simon, and it's called Rewrites, a memoir. And Neil Simon passed away at 93. And this is not a memoir. This is an autobiography. And I think that's the reason I put it down. I wanted the jokes. I wanted it now. And I do have a funny story. I saw The Odd Couple, a play that he wrote, when I was quite young, when it first came out. And I'm not sure if it was, I think it was the 70s. And I saw it in Radio City Music Hall. And if anybody knows Radio City Music Hall, it still is, but was a very fancy movie emporium. It was gorgeous. It is gorgeous. and it's the home of the Rockettes. And I went there since I was a child, and they always showed a movie after the show. And I don't remember if they had stopped that and only by that time and only did it on special occasions. But I have a funny story because the seats were very plush, and The Odd Couple was so funny that I slipped off my seat and fell to the floor. I could not stop laughing. If you haven't seen The Odd Couple, the original, the TV show, it went into a series, was funny too, but the original was so funny. It's about Oscar and Felix, who move in together. Well, Felix moves, he's like a very OCD type of person. He has to have everything clean, and I don't know if he actually had OCD as a character, or even if OCD was a real thing, a name back then, but he definitely had a lot of the traits of a person with OCD. And Oscar was the opposite, and he was a sloppy man. And I don't know if this was the part where I fell down laughing, but they had a big fight in the middle of it, and Oscar is screaming at Felix, and he was saying, "I get these notes all the time and signed F you, F you," and I couldn't realize until like the end that it was Felix Unger. I don't know. That was one of the jokes that made me just realize that Neil Simon is one of the best playwrights in American anything. And this goes into his life. And some of the funny people who said that it was good was Steve Martin says, "It's a funny and moving work. I cried till I laughed." Steve Martin. I love Steve Martin. And it says, "This book is very funny." Liz Smith, New York Post. But I think that was the reason that I had put it down originally, because it's funny, but I think it's I should have read another. The New York Times says, Jeremy Gerard said, "Only the hardest hearts will get through the final chapter of Rewrites Unmoved." And it's courageously honest and revealing, Gwen Verdon said. And many, many, many other people say it's a compelling page-turner. And that Neil Simon is the author of more than 24 plays and screenplays, and the winner of a Pulitzer Prize for his play Lost in Yonkers. Rewrites is his first book. I think he might have written a second book, because this book is not, it was written in 1996. Coincidentally, my mother passed away in 1995, so I don't think I was in any mood to be reading this kind of book then. I went into a deep depression when my mother passed away. As an aside, but this time I'm going to, and here's a picture of him. And yes, he was a brilliant man, brilliant. One of my favorite movies of all times is The Goodbye Girl. Saw that when I came to Hawaii, and Richard Dreyfuss won an Academy Award for that movie. Well deserved. And Marsha Mason, who was his wife for quite a while, Neil Simon's wife, did a beautiful job. Watch that movie. I always say I don't watch a lot of movies, because if you saw all of these wonderful movies and you see some of the garbage, excuse me, but I really believe that's out today, not only comedies, because I was brought up on movies, as I told you. My mother was she was a compulsive moviegoer and dragged me along, and we saw so many wonderful, wonderful movies in my life that I got sort of turned off, I think, by movies. But I'm starting to go to the movies again. I've seen quite a few movies. There's in AARP they have like movies for grown-ups, and I tend to like those kind of movies. Not all of them, but it's a good way to find a movie that might be good if you're not, a teenager, or wanting a sci-fi, which I don't enjoy, or even a thriller or superhero book, a movie. Anyway, that is my haul for today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read all of these books because it was worth the pain that I went through to get it. And I want to go more, now that I'm out, I'm feeling better. I want to have more library hauls because not everybody can afford to get a new release. Not everybody, a lot of people, either subscribers or even YouTubers, use their library as much as I always have done. So please say hello in the comments and let me know if you've read any of these books, if you want to read any of these books. And until we meet again, and I hope I will tell you all about at least some of these books by then. And I'll just wish you from Hawaii, from safe Hawaii, because we are safe. We have the Army, Navy, Marines. We have every branch of government here to help us when we do have something like a tsunami. So I'm not worried about that, and I'm not panicky about that. So aloha from safe Hawaii.